This is DLOC Topic 8, Section 12E. I am Kevin Laws, the Science and Operations Officer at the National Weather Service office in Birmingham, Alabama. Section 12E is going to focus on storm-based warnings for damaging straight-line wind events. Our objectives for this lesson are to issue storm-based warnings for squall lines that contain straight-line winds. We want to do that by maximizing lead time and minimizing false alarm area. Let's get right to some examples. This is from the morning of April 27th, 2011, the super outbreak. The morning event was mainly a squall line. As you can see here, a nice bow echo is entering across the state line into Pickens County, going into Greene and down through Sumter. Maybe Lamar as well has the northern end of that bow. So if we want to issue a warning for this storm, I want to first of all interrogate the velocity and see that obviously there are numerous wind measurements here that are well above 60 knots. My color scale here sort of changes into this deeper blue once you go above 60 knots. So I want to take a look at how to do that effectively. First thing you do is bring up Warn Gem. We want to change to the track type to line of storms, as you see here. You see it changes your centroids to two separate ones. This is a little bit tricky, and you want to make sure you do this as precise as you possibly can. The first thing I do is I take both centroids and stretch it along the area that you want to warn for. See, I just leave the two here, and I go all the way to the south end of the bow to the north end of the bow. From there, what you can do is you can begin to add vertices. So by right-clicking on the line itself, you can add these vertexes, additional centroid points. Once you do that, you want to back the radar up a little ways, maybe a few scans. Again, each little tick mark on your timeline represents a radar scan. And you can realign and readjust your vertices to make sure they still match the front portion of this bowing structure. In the end, you want to bring it back to real time. Hit the track button here at the top, and you will see it designs a polygon that may look something like this. Now this is actually what you're going to see on the radar, and a trick that I can give you right away is by hitting the 0 key on the number pad, you can make the radar data disappear for just a second, and that will help you focus in on exactly what warnings you want and for what counties. As you can see here, in this case, I have a lot of extraneous counties that I probably don't need to include in this warning at this point. So I can begin to trim those out. Notice I trimmed out Walker, Jefferson, Bibb, and even Perry counties. And I can also look back and see which counties I may need to put in the back of the warning. Say here up to the state line, this is also the CWA boundary. There are portions of Sumter and Pickens County that are not in the warning as well, so I went ahead and just included those as well. Once you do that, you hit the warned hatched area button, and it'll snap all your vertices back to the warning that you want. At this point too, I also went ahead and included some extra areas downstream in the Hale and Tuscaloosa counties, as seen here. Extend the timeline just a little bit to make this a 60-minute warning. So the warning shape is going to look something a little bit strange, but it's going to look something like this. And notice my timeline goes well into the next county, so hopefully I won't have to worry about re-warning a lot of these counties. So let's take a look at what actually happened. As this event went through Pickens and Greene counties up toward Fayette, it became time to maybe issue a new warning, especially further north. So how would we do that, considering that we already have half the county of Fayette in the current warning? Well, did the same thing here. Take my two centroid points, stretch them from north to south, and then I added an extra vertex to capture the extenuating line out toward Winston County, as you see here. So in this case, we're going to have 3 vertex points. Hit the track button, and notice that once we turn the radar off, we can see there is a significant overlap in the Fayette County. Also, we noticed that Walker County is going to be impacted by this storm as well, so I went ahead and made a few adjustments for that. Didn't quite bring the Fayette all the way up, but I did leave a little bit of overlap there, and I want to go ahead and also include all of Walker County as well. So I did that. Also brought the polygon backwards a little bit to cover the entire storm that we're currently experiencing, and you can see now we have a completed warning for Fayette, Marion, Winston, and Walker counties there. This will take us pretty much to the CWA line. Now, one word of note that I want you to be cautious about, and I took this example from July 21st, 2014. I think this is a Northern Plains off of Bismarck. And you can see how they had a squall line moving through. And what begins to happen if you issue the warnings too short and too many boxes is that multiple warnings go out for the same county. We want to try to avoid that to avoid confusion and warning fatigue. I want you to take a look at the county of Morton, North Dakota here. And you can see that Morton County actually gets 8 different warnings in just a matter of an hour and just a little bit over an hour here. So once you start to issue the warnings too short, you can kind of fall into a trap to where the warnings downstream are not going to cover enough in area or time to cover your entire threat. So you want to try to avoid these kind of pitfalls. We want to try to only issue the least amount of warnings as possible for each county. That way we do avoid some warning fatigue. So extend your timeline out beyond to try to do that. Here's a few more tips. In rare and unique situations, you always want to use the additional dissemination tools that you have. NWS Chat, and now we have social media, Facebook and Twitter. So be sure to express to your customers your concerns through those different mediums. Don't just rely on NOAA Weather Radio. Speaking of which, the weather radios and siren-based systems are all going to be county-based. So keep that in mind that every time you alert those systems, that they're going to alert for the entire county and not just a threat. However, there are those that have upgraded to the polygon-based warnings, the PDA devices, and a lot of media partners as well. So you're going to have both customers. So you want to always service the lowest end common denominator if possible, and that would be the folks with the weather radios that are still county-based. Finally, in any weather situation, maintain a high situational awareness about any changing conditions. Again, if you have an unprecedented situation where you have a bow echo with 70, 80, or even higher miles per hour wind, then you want to be able to combat that with those kind of warnings. Unprecedented situations may equal unprecedented warnings. So just keep that in mind. If you do these things, you will be successful.